Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Fahmida Islam with you. Before moving on, let's look at today's top stories. US and Russia to hold deconfliction talks over Syria. Syria conflict, Russia launches fresh strikes. Hillary Clinton's email targeted by Russia-based hackers. Hajj stampede, Iran death toll rises to 464. Thursday, India leopard gets headstock in pot. Well, those were the headlines, now the details. The United States and Russia will hold military talks as soon as possible over action in Syria. Secretary of State John Kerry and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have announced, "We agreed on the imperative of having a military-to-military deconfliction discussion," Mr. Kerry told reporters in the U.S. The Defense Ministry said its jets had destroyed an IS ammunition depot and control centers. However, the areas reportedly attacked appeared to be held by groups opposed to IS and the Syrian government. The U.S. and its allies fear the strikes have been targeting non-IS opponents of Russia's ally, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, a claim denied by Moscow. The latest attacks repeatedly hit sites in the northwest held by the Army of Conquest Rebel Alliance as well as areas in Homs and Hama provinces. They repeatedly hit areas near the strategic town of Jisr al-Shukur as well as areas in Idlib province and Hama province further south, according to Lebanon's Al Maidan TV. The phishing emails disguised as speeding tickets would have enabled the hackers to control Hillary Clinton's computer. The infected computer would have sent information to at least 3 computers overseas, including one in Russia. A spokesman for Mrs. Clinton said there was no evidence of a breach. The hacking attempts were included in thousands of emails released by the State Department. Mrs. Clinton's opponents have accused her of putting U.S. security at risk by using an unsecured computer system. She says no classified information was sent or received. The 5 emails sent over a 4-hour period in August 2011 show hackers had Mrs. Clinton's email address, which was not public and contained a virus concealed as a speeding ticket from New York State, where she lives. Iranian authorities said there was no longer hope of finding any of the country's missing pilgrims alive. According to Saudi officials, 769 people died in the crash in Mina, near Makkah, and 934 were injured. The Saudis have been criticized over their handling of security and for the slow publication of casualty figures. Iranian officials allege that the overall numbers of deaths is now more than 1,000. Pakistan, India, and Indonesia have also suggested death toll may be higher than the 769 reported by Saudi Arabia. Saudi authorities have not released a breakdown of victims by nationality, but a tally of the numbers of dead released by individual countries adds up to more than the official figure. The crash occurred as 2 large groups of pilgrims converged at right angles on the way to taking part in one of the Hajj's major rites at the Jamarat pillars. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has called on Saudi Arabia to apologize for the deadly stampede and warned of harsh measures if the kingdom fails to promptly repatriate the bodies of Iran's dead. We'll be back in a moment with the headlines here. Migrant crisis in the jungle as seasons change. Awami League plans mass reception for Prime Minister, Champions of the Earth Award winner. Eurozone returns to deflation in September. And Women's Super League, Chelsea or Manchester City for the title. Welcome back to Millennium TV News. For months, hundreds of migrants have been living in the so-called jungle, an impromptu camp in Calais. Conditions have already been tough, with people living in makeshift shelters and relying on food handouts. But now, with summer turning to autumn and the European winter just around the corner, life could be about to get even harder. The BBC's Murad Shishani reports from the jungle. Local people told reporters that the animal appeared to have been foraging for water and then got its head stuck inside the vessel. The confused and frightened animal wandered around the village as residents took pictures and videos. Wildlife officials eventually tranquilized the leopard and used a saw to remove the pot from its head. They told the local media that it seemed none the worse for its ordeal. A recent wildlife census estimates that India has a leopard population of between 12,000 and 14,000 animals. The ruling Awami League planning a reception for Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on October 3 for winning the United Nations highest award in Environment Affairs, Champions of the Earth and the ICT Sustainable Development Award. Awami League President Member and Health and Family Welfare Minister Muhammad Nasim disclosed the event to the press Tuesday afternoon. He said those after holding a meeting regarding this at the political office or party President Sheikh Hasina at Dhanmondi. On Sunday, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has received the prestigious Champions of the Earth Award. The Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and UN Environment Programme Executive Director Ashim Steiner handed over the award to her at a program in New York on Sunday. Prime Minister dedicated the award to the people of Bangladesh and said that Bangladeshis learned how to tackle climate change, disasters and survive. At the meeting, Awami League Joint General Secretary Mahbubul Alam Hanif has been entrusted with responsibility as the coordinator for the planned mass reception ceremony. Now the business news. It is the first time inflation had turned negative for 6 months, with an 8.9% fall in the price of energy largely responsible for the decline. Core inflation in the Eurozone, which strips out energy and food prices, showed a 0.9% rise, the same as August. The Eurostat statistics agency also said the Eurozone's unemployment rate for August was unchanged at 11%. Mario Draghi, the president of the European Central Bank, warned earlier this month that inflation could turn negative. The bank expects inflation to be 0.1% in 2015 as a whole, rising to 1.5% in 2016 and 1.7% in 2017. The ECB is spending 60 billion euros, which is 44 billion pounds, on asset purchases under its program known as quantitative easing every month for the next year in an attempt to boost prices. It includes diesel-powered cars with the VW brand Audi, Seat and Skoda, as well as VW commercial vehicles. In the next few days, the company will give the vehicle identification numbers to retailers as well as coming up with a process for owners to check if their vehicles are affected. VW will then start contacting owners. The company stressed that all the vehicles are still safe and roadworthy. VW plans to present its plans for resolving the problems with the affected vehicles to regulators next month. The specific number of vehicles affected under each brand are Volkswagen cars 508 to 76, Audi 393,450, Seat 76,773, Skoda 131,569, VW commercial vehicles 79,838, which is in total 1189 and 906. Now the sports news. Konta, who won 21 of her previous 22 matches and beat world number 2 Simona Halep on Wednesday, served for a place in the last 4 in the decider. However, American Williams 35 won 4 games on the trot to set up a semi-final against Roberta Vinci. Konta's form will see the 24-year-old take over as British number 1. She had started the year 150th in the world but is now 66th and will next week pass compatriot Heather Watson in the rankings. Johanna played so well, she has had a wonderful summer, said Williams. It seemed like I was finished, but I felt the energy from the crowd. Konta certainly made Williams work hard for the victory, becoming the first person to take a set off her at the Wuhan Open after losing the first. She then led 5-3 in the final set and looked on course to record another upset at the tournament. However, Williams drew upon all of her experience to grind out the victory, coming out on top in a breathtaking final game that saw the crowd applaud midway through one particularly impressive rally. This year, the title race has again come down to the last weekend of the season, and just like 12 months ago, it is Chelsea ladies who have it all to lose. However, second-placed Manchester City are the only team still harboring hopes of pipping leaders Chelsea to the title. Just like last year, Chelsea held a 2-point lead. Will Emma Hayes' side hold their nerve, or is history about to repeat itself? Let's have a look at Millennium TV News Recap. US and Russia to hold deconfliction talks over Syria. Syria conflict, Russia launches fresh strikes. Hillary Clinton's email targeted by Russia-based hackers. Hot stampede, Iran death toll rises to 464. Thursday, India leopard gets headstock in pot. You're up to date with your top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log into www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you for staying with us. Allah Hafiz.